scope of the framework has to be widened in order to include more states.
National Economic Council moves to project vulnerable riverine areas.
Rivers State Executive Council needs to be fully constituted.
Rivers Assembly resumes legislative business on day one after emergency rule.
Millions of Nigerians outside the formal wage system will be brought into retirement security.
Plus, federal government takes decisive step to fortify pension sector with new leadership council. Hello and welcome to Network News. I am Juma Yusuf. Tonight, we'll be joining Adiola Kamea Kere in Lagos for news from that axis, and Benny Adams is standing by in our studio here in Abuja for the business news. And Francisca Bele is our lead tonight for the sports news. Remember, you can follow these newscasts live on all our social media platforms displayed on your screen. We begin with the National Economic Council finalizing arrangements for the implementation of the anticipatory action framework intended to project vulnerable households and enable timely and dignified interventions for riverine areas in Nigeria. Now, this is one of the major outcomes of the Council's meeting earlier today at the State House. State House correspondent Musbau Danwahab reports that the Council is also working on modalities to encourage local production of small farm implements. Let's take a listen.
The 152nd meeting of the National Economic Council is certainly not one of the most attended, yet the discussions and resolutions are far-reaching under the chairmanship of Vice President Kashim Shettima. The rains are winding down for the year and the flooding about to peak. Fears are imminent again for Nigerians in the riverine areas and those along the riverbanks. The perennial challenge got attention of the Council as it received a briefing from the National Security Advisor, Nuhu Ribadu, on the anticipatory action framework, mainly to protect the vulnerable households across the country.
The objectives of the anticipatory action framework include, but not limited to, protect vulnerable households, enable timely and dignified interventions before flooding peaks, focus on equity, ensuring no community is left behind, amongst others. However, Council resolved that the scope of the framework has to be widened in order to include more states and submit final document for ratification at the next meeting of NEC. Most importantly, Council has also considered the inclusion of measures that will be taken to ensure medium and longer term sustainable solutions that will prevent flooding or reduce the flooding rather than the shorter term non-sustainable solution.
Jigawa State Governor Umar Namadi presented a memo seeking federal state action towards addressing the challenge of cost of production aggravated by lack of access to affordable energy and fertilizer, particularly for smallholder farmers.
Meaning that opening the door, bringing in more players into the production of fertilizer, and through either giving incentives or so many. So the framework will come up, and that will show that by the time, it's a concept of demand and supply. The more players are in, it becomes more competitive, and therefore the likelihood of dropping the price of fertilizer is likely to happen. So that's exactly the concept we are asking for the mandate to be given to the Presidential Implementation Committee.
The Council moved a step up for solution as the Vice President led members to inspect samples of battery-backed solar power irrigation pumps proudly made in Nigeria by the National Agency for Science and Engineering Infrastructure, NASENI.
These pumps, they are supposed to replace fuel-driven, petrol-powered systems and lower energy costs for farmers, improve irrigation access in off-grid areas, reinforce Nigeria's food security strategy.
So compatible, it's not as good as these other ones.
Naseni assures the council of its capacity to produce about 100,000 pumps of this type monthly, and so the council resolved to notify the president on this towards working out more funding for the agency and support local production of the implements. From the State House, Musbao and Wahab, NTA News.
And Nigeria says it is ready if granted the right to host the Commonwealth Games slated for 2030, tagged Abuja 2023. Representing President Bola Tinubu, Chief of Staff Femi Gbajabiamila led the federal government delegation to a meeting at the State House with Commonwealth Sport Bid Evaluation Committee. State House correspondent, again, Musbao and Wahab, reports.
I believe to support the bid.
Nigeria is taking a step forward towards securing the hosting rights for the 2030 Commonwealth Games. Having hosted an edition of the All-African Games, FIFA Under-17 and Under-20 World Cups, as well as some continental championships, the Commonwealth Games remain one of the top global sporting events yet eluding the country. Similarly, no African country has ever hosted the Games despite 22 Commonwealth countries on the continent. And with the support of other African member nations, Nigeria is facing India in the final stage of bidding.
The time has come for Nigeria and indeed all Africa to offer the warm embrace of her hospitality, the grandeur of her culture, and the passion of her people to the Commonwealth Games. Our bid is grounded in the conviction that the 2030 game in Nigeria will not only celebrate sport, but will also ignite a legacy of transformation across our continent.
I can assure you, we're ready, we're willing, we're able, and we actually want this.
Chief of Staff to the President, Femi Gbajabiamila, emphasized the characteristic aim of a Commonwealth as an umbrella of unity and diversity, which he says qualifies Nigeria for the hosting rights.
Nigeria has set on this administration, particularly on some bold reforms to reposition sports as a strategic driver of national development. Our role within this family has always been clear, to stand for unity, equality, and progress. Beyond the infrastructure, which is very important in terms of your evaluation. So there's some intangibles that you can't even put your finger on. That is what you will find in abundance, apart from the infrastructural development, in abundance in Nigeria. You know, the people, their warmth, their hospitality.
Other stakeholders justified Nigeria's position as the country promises to partner the private sector and civil society organizations to ensure that every aspect of the Games meets international standard if granted.
Bidding to host the Commonwealth Games clearly aligns and is in tune with the vision of Mr. President to drive this vision. And we believe if we get the opportunity to host the Commonwealth Games in 2030, it will create so much massive positive for the country, not just in terms of sports, but in terms of infrastructure development and wealth creation.
This country has one of the biggest sports market in the world. As one of the biggest population of sport enthusiasts in the world. Beyond football, this is the time to be our friend, to support us. Let's have the Commonwealth Games here in Nigeria 2030.
When we look at the Games now, very, very different in relation to the bidding process, very, very different to what happened in the past in relation to the way these games were awarded.
Nigeria is slated to make presentation of a final bid slated for September 24 in London. From the State House, Musbao and Wahab, NTA News.
Now, how is Port Harcourt City doing tonight? It is almost a full day after the suspension of emergency rule in Rivers State, and we know the haze and fog associated with that period is gradually clearing. But I will ask the question again. How is Port Harcourt tonight? Are we seeing the cautious sigh of relief or the quiet hum of a city waiting to see what happens after the emergency rule's first day? Now, Rivers State is at a pivotal moment, and even on day one, post-emergency rule, public expectations are high. as the Fubara-led administration charts its course for the year ahead. We want to know what you think. The state governor's top priority should be: where should the government concentrate its effort to make the most impactful change as its citizens look ahead? Let's hear from you. Join our ongoing survey and vote now for the governor's top priority for the next 12 months. Now, let's return to Port Harcourt, Rivers State capital, where Kingsley Amajiri is standing by for a live update on the happenings in the state. Kingsley, it's good to see you.
All right, I'd like to welcome you to Port Harcourt and give you an update of the political development in the state. Of course, today, in the early hours of the day, through the midday, it was indeed a very eventful moment for residents who were anxious to see the return to constitutional democracy after the period of the emergency rule. When you see the crowd that came out today along the streets of Port Harcourt, especially at the government house gate, where crowd gathered to welcome the governor, you see that the people of the state were anxiously waiting for the restoration of democracy. And of course, from that gathering, they were making a statement. The statement was that, of course, during the period of the political crisis and, of course, the emergency period, many of them were, of course, out of service. In terms of political patronage, the crisis did not only affect the key players, but also the supporters. That would have informed the rationale to what you saw today, earlier in the day.
Okay, Kingsley Amajiri, you've already answered the question I was going to ask you anyway. Thank you so much for your update on what's happening in Port Harcourt today. We wish the administration all the best. Thank you. House of Assembly has resumed sitting after 6 months of emergency rule. Speaker Martin Amahule presided over the sitting, where the House called on Governor Fubara to commence the process of coming up with an appropriation law for the remaining part of the year to address current realities. Nkiru Onyejeshi has details.
Lawmakers are elected to be back. Speaker Martin Amahule soon walks in and plenary begins. There's only one item on the other paper, a motion moved by the House Leader, Major Jack.
Mr. Speaker, we should also be aware that Rivers State Executive Council needs to be fully constituted.
Other lawmakers call on Governor Fubara to send the list of commissioner designates for screening and confirmation.
To commend the President and Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of the Federal Republic of Nigeria for restoring democratic institutions in the state.
The Speaker summarized the plenary with a request to Governor Fubara to send a budget to the Assembly for the rest of the year.
The Rivers State Assembly will continue to abide by the terms of the peace pact between us, the governor, and all stakeholders for the interest of this state and, of course, for the good governance of their states.
All eyes are on the Assembly to fully resume amicable relationship with the executive for the state to move forward. In Port Harcourt, Nkiru Onyejeshi, NTA News.
And in the wake of emergency rule in Rivers, we have now seen how the declaration of a state of emergency is one of the most powerful tools used by the Nigerian government in confronting crisis. But when and why have presidents reached for this ultimate measure? Our own Ruth Adgwele is live in the studio, and she has a historical review of states of emergency in Nigeria. Ruth?
Thank you very much, Jume. Based on what we've seen so far in Rivers State, I'd like to take us back 63 years ago when this whole emergency rule started. It started with, of course, the Prime Minister then, that is Tafawa Balewa. That was in 1962. And of course, that emergency rule lasted for only 6 months. Now, this was due to severe political crisis within the Action Group Party in the Western region. And after that, in 1964, we saw another short emergency rule during Nnamdi Azikiwe's time. That was just for 10 days, actually. And of course, after an election violence that happened. Now, let's fast forward when we had our own, civilian rule. That was in 2004. President Olusegun Obasanjo had to declare a state of emergency then in Plateau State because of ethno and religious crisis that was so severe and uncontrollable as of that time, and that lasted for about 7 months. Now, 2006, it also happened again during the same tenure of President Olusegun Obasanjo, but this time around in Ekiti State and not Plateau State. The governor then, Ayo Fayose, was impeached, and that was because of some, well, according to reports, controversial circumstances, and there was breakdown of law and order. So he had to declare, a state of emergency then in Ekiti State. So let's fast forward to 2013. But before 2013, I'd like to refresh your memory. In 2011, during President Goodluck Jonathan's tenure, there was state of emergency in 2 states, Borno and Plateau, because of the Boko Haram attacks during that time. That was 2011, in some local government areas, actually. Before the full blow of the state of emergency in 2013 that lasted to, and also in 2014, we saw the Chibok girls kidnapping. It was really severe in the Bay states, that is Borno, Adamawa, and Yobe. And now, fast forward to 2025, in March, we saw what happened, even though, there were concerns here and there. But the 6 months is over, and it is uhuru again for the people of Rivers State, Jomai. And I'm sure, for the people of Rivers State, they just want to see the dividends of democracy, where accountability, transparency, and equity thrive, which is what, the expectation, I'm sure, is, especially for the next, or rather the remaining tenure of Governor Fubara.
Okay, Ruth, thank you so much for that breakdown of emergency rules in Nigeria, and I hope that it stops now.
Thank you.
And we take a break now. When we return, Network News will continue in a moment. Don't go away.
Of Owerri, business never sleeps. From sunrise to sundown, the wheels keep turning. And behind the scenes, vision meets action. Governor Hope Uzodimma's leadership has turned manifestos into reality, transformations that feels like a miracle. But progress needs peace, and in Imo, it's not left to chance. From land to sky to river deep, guardians are watching, protecting dreams and opportunity. At Orashi's quiet shore, Hydro...
You're welcome back. Wife of the Vice President Nana Kashim Shettima has, on behalf of the First Lady Oluremi Tinubu, flagged off the distribution of food and cash support under the Renewed Hope initiative, aimed at cushioning the hardship being felt by vulnerable households in Sokoto. She revealed that more empowerment programs are underway, including Flourish Confidence, a scheme designed to retain 370,000 schoolgirls across schools in the country. Abdullah Umar Ilalu reports.
Each beneficiary received 2 bags of 25-kilogram rice and maize, along with 10,000 naira as transport support. The food outreach scheme is designed to assist vulnerable groups, particularly persons with special needs. The First Lady and Chairperson of the Renewed Hope Initiative, Oluremi Tinubu, represented, expresses appreciation for the federal government's support under President Bola Ahmed Tinubu towards improving citizens' welfare. 17 states have so far benefited from similar initiative, with Bayelsa, Borno, and Yobe as the next targets.
Our goal at Renewed Hope Initiative is to complement the Renewed Hope agenda of the administration of His Excellency President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, GCFR, which aims to support all Nigerians to strive and achieve their goals irrespective of their condition or status.
We have rolled out several palliative support measures for vulnerable groups.
The gesture is a testament to the First Lady's commitment towards uplifting the quality of lives of indigents in the country.
Sokoto State has been a proud beneficiary of several interventions offered by the First Lady under the Renewed Hope Initiative.
Sultan of Sokoto, Muhammad Saada Abubakar, represented, and the Mudassiru Rabiu Africa Initiative commended the First Lady's foresight and urged beneficiaries to put the support to good use. In Sokoto, Abdullah Omar Ilalu, NTA News.
Now, the federal government says it remains committed to strengthening Nigeria's pension sector for social protection, inclusive economic growth, and as a catalyst for national development. Secretary to the government of the Federation, George Akume, stated this while inaugurating the Pension Industry Leadership Council in Abuja. Mohammed Rabiu Ali tells us more.
Nigeria's pension sector has come a long way from 2004 with dynamic reforms introduced to reposition it despite numerous challenges. This necessitates the need for a unified council to set direction, build trust, and safeguard the future of millions of Nigerian workers. While inaugurating the council members, the SGF believes that every Nigerian who labors today must be guaranteed dignity and security tomorrow.
The council must aim to expand the coverage to the informal sector by scaling up the micro-pension plan, designing incentives such as digital platforms, mobile payment integration, and tax reliefs to attract artisans, traders, and SMEs.
We will strengthen public confidence so pension remains a promise kept.
We are going to have an enhanced compliance because the decision is taken jointly.
At a media briefing, Director General Omolola Olowaroran announced a bold reform of Pension Revolution 2.0 under the Tinubu-led administration.
Under the CPS, the PFAs are not owing anybody. The government isn't owing anybody as well. All our accrued rights have been paid up to September.
Mohammed Rabiu Ali, NTA News.
And talking education, the Joint Admissions and Matriculation Board, JAMB, says it has shifted the full assessment date for underage candidates and participated in the 2025 Unified Tertiary Matriculation Examination. The adjustment, according to the board, became necessary after 23 of the 71 universities chosen by the affected candidates failed to submit their post-UTME screening scores by the initial deadline of September 15, 2025. Now, a statement by its public communication advisor, Dr. Fabian Benjamin, JAMB noted that despite the release of the 2025 Senior School Certificate Examination results by the National Examination Council, NECO, on September 17th, several institutions had yet to comply. And on health, the Executive Director and Chief Executive Officer of the National Primary Healthcare Development Agency, Dr. Muyi Ayina, says the ongoing revitalization of primary healthcare centers across Nigeria reflects President Bola Tinubu's renewed hope agenda for the health sector. Speaking at an inspection visit to the Ayetoro Primary Healthcare Center in Yaba, Lagos, Dr. Ayina commended the quality of work at the facility, describing it as a model for how federal and state governments can collaborate to deliver improved health services to Nigerians. He explained that the health sector is one of the several facilities being revitalized by the NPHCDA under the national program, while the Lagos state government is also upgrading many other centers across the state, noting that the improved infrastructure at Ayetoro will make it function as a full 24-hour facility capable of attracting more patients. Mr. Ayina said discussions are ongoing with the Lagos State Primary Health Care Board on deploying additional health workers to ensure the center is adequately staffed for round-the-clock maternity and other essential services.
So this will be one of those that will receive equipment from national as well as some of the commodities. So all in all, very proud of what I am seeing here. I think this is reflective of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's renewed hope agenda.
And to further strengthen coordination for rapid development in the livestock industry, the Ministry of Livestock Development has unveiled a 5-year National Livestock Master Plan designed to unlock the vast potential in the sector. Yusuf Jika reports that the plan is an initiative of the Livestock Productivity and Resilience Support Project in collaboration with the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation and the International Livestock Research Institute in Kenya.
Nigeria's livestock industry accounts for approximately 17% of agricultural GDP and 5% of the national gross domestic product, impacting on millions of Nigerians through employment, food security, and rural development. And to fast-track efforts in modernizing the industry and addressing challenges of low productivity, disease, inadequate infrastructure, and limited access to market, the unveiling of this 5-year master plan came handy. Its objective is to guide the development of the sustainable livestock sector and attract targeted investments from the government, development partners, and the private sector, prioritizing key value chains and policy interventions.
The goalpost. This is the way to go. And today we have launched the master plan, and we will now put it in the public domain so that, like I said, everybody, every stakeholder in the livestock sector will know their own piece of action they will want to come and play with us in the way of implementing this.
This is a comprehensive document that will be socialized across our states through the National Economic Council, I believe. Then the document will be of benefit to the private sector.
While the plan moves to accelerate development in the industry, it considers gender inclusion, women and youth empowerment, equity, and environmental sustainability. In Abuja, Yusuf Jika, NTA News.
We'll take a pause here as we join Adiola Kami Akere in Lagos Network Center for more news from that axis. Adiola.
Jumai. The inaugural 2025 NMCS Directors General Roundtable focused on sensitizing content creators on imbibing the use of artificial intelligence and media production to complement human capabilities in content production. This formed the thrust of a conference with a central theme: sustainable content creation in a fragmented media space. Amaka Obo reports.
The event had directors general and heads of agencies, regulatory bodies and parastatals under the Ministry of Information and National Orientation Agency converge to deliberate on ways to discuss policies to foster innovation. Representative of the Minister of Information and National Orientation, Mohammed Idris, and former Minister of Information, Lai Mohammed, outlined research figures.
They are determined to strengthen collaboration with associations such as MCOM, industry stakeholders, and regulatory bodies to ensure that our media remain innovative.
Strong cataloging will keep Nigerian productions searchable, reusable, and profitable.
Representatives of the Director General of the Nigerian Television Authority, Salihu Abdul Hamid Dembos, is the Zonal Director, NTA Lagos Network Center, Dr. Evelyn Wosu, and the Executive Director, Programs, NTA, Terry Taylor, say content is king and the NTA is leveraging the dynamics in technology and knowledge about audience analysis.
The best part is the fact that AI is a tool, and everybody, every content person, every media marketing person, anybody in the media space has to be very conversant with AI to enhance your real performance.
Research is the foundation of profitable and sustainable broadcasting, especially if you want to gain the ad revenues or engage an audience sustainably. For me, it's exciting because even right now in NTA, we are conducting a level of audience research for our programs.
Masterclass on artificial intelligence was presented to benefit content creators, broadcasters, advertisers, and agencies. In Lagos, Amaka O, NTA News.
To break the cycle of poverty in Nigeria, a synergy of faith-based organizations, organized private sector, and government is required. This and the need for a robust database that will guide national planning are the consensus of stakeholders at the 12th annual lecture of the Foursquare Gospel Church with the theme Poverty Alleviation, Economic Development and Stability of the Nigerian Economy. Joel Bukwola reports that the lecture, which is the first to be held outside the church, is part of activities to mark its 70th anniversary.
Foursquare Gospel Church is setting an agenda to reduce poverty to the barest minimum in Nigeria through this gathering of seasoned experts from different walks of life, including Ogun State Governor Dapo Abiodun, who is the chairman of the 12th annual lecture. The General Overseer, Reverend Sam Aboyeji, notes that the theme, which was carefully chosen, resonates with Nigeria's current economic reality.
Poverty remains one of the greatest challenges confronting our people, and addressing it requires practical, sustainable, and inclusive solutions.
The guest lecturer, Dr. Doyin Salami, a former chief economic advisor to former President Muhammadu Buhari, who decried the endemic poverty in Nigeria, notes that Nigeria was at par with China in the early 90s, but the country implemented far-reaching reforms that encourage massive industrialization, and this can be achieved in Nigeria with the right policies and tackling infrastructural deficits.
The level at which we are investing is not high enough, has not hit the threshold that it must in order to stimulate growth.
At the panel session, experts who illustrate the theme of the public lecture agreed that urgent steps should be taken to reduce the poverty rate.
We are always working with outdated data. So it's a big issue, and I agree with him in terms of what the Bureau of Statistics should do.
Ogun State Governor Dakwa Abiodun, who chaired the occasion, commended the church for the milestone feat and its interest in good governance.
In short, Foursquare is a church that is making impact. It's a church that's gone beyond the pulpit, that's taking over other responsibilities.
All the deliberations and reforms suggested by stakeholders will be documented in a communique which can be adopted by governments at all levels in national economic planning and other reforms. In Lagos, Joel Bukbola, NTA News.
And that's all.
The Live Initiative, a group that is committed to the well-being of the citizenry through advocacy for good governance and progressive ideals. Hope Alive Initiative for the greater good of all.
In today's fast-paced world, staying ahead demands peak performance.
The Office of the National Security, actually it's time for business news, and Nigerian stocks are having a good run with investors smiling home with 143.51 million naira. Benny, are you smiling as well? I completely forgot I have to get to you.
Yes, it's about the stock market. It's actually a good run as the market actually climbed by 0.16% to close at 142,263.03 basis points, up from 142,039.23 basis points in the previous session. And this positive momentum means investors gained a collective 143.51 billion, pushing the total market value to 90.1 trillion. And the numbers show stocks are actually rising rather than falling. They're talking about 30 gainers versus 20 losers. Access Core was the most traded stock by volume, accounting for nearly 40 of the shares traded. The Zenith Bank was also top of the list, highest of the shares traded at this time. I'm looking at other markets, talking about South Africa, Kenya, and Tunisia. South Africa is actually positive, having gained 0.07% to record a value of 98,038.50 basis point. And from South Africa, we take a look at the market in Kenya. The market in Kenya investors are not smiling at this point in time where the market actually went red. And for Tunisia, Tune Index, for the Tunis market, it is a green at this time. It is a green at this time where investors are actually smiling home with increased investment. That is it on the markets from Nigeria, Kenya, as well as Tunisia, and also South Africa. And moving on, talking gains of the U.S. tariffs, experts around the world say it's a mixed grill, particularly in America and their business partners around the world. Yet Donald Trump tells the world in England that many are happy.
Solid and sane, and they're very, very thrilled at what's happened. They can't even believe it. And we've never seen investment like this. Without the tariffs, we would have just a fraction of that.
Well, actually, I don't know whether that's what other parts of the world should learn from. But let's see how it goes from here. This is it on business at this time. It's time for another break. Don't go away as the news continues.
The Office of the National Security Advisor has organized a crisis simulation response exercise involving 28 agencies. Now, what is the essence of the exercise and its implication for real-time incidents? Defense correspondent Ismail Musa has details.
Terror attacks with victims taken hostage. The overall objective of the exercise is to enhance effective communication and shared responsibility to facilitate rapid response to emergencies and save lives and property. Natural disasters and other emerging threats spreading beyond borders as well as clicks on the buttons. These are realities of global security threats knocking. To stay ahead of these challenges, the Office of the National Security Advisor replicates scenarios of real crisis to test coordination, synergy, combat strategies, and real-time decision-making.
The essence of having exercises like this is to refresh, particularly those who are concerned in managing crisis or in responders when it comes to crisis, to refresh them again on their responsibility.
It's more or less a coordination forum, not just a simulation exercise, but for the relevant agencies present here to be able to take charge and know what roles every single person is supposed to play. Don't forget that after this particular exercise, you're also going to go back and review where you find your lapses, and you come back and sit and agree, when this strikes, what do we do, how do we move on? And that's the whole purpose of the simulation exercise.
Experts insist that only when lessons from exercises like this are applied, effectiveness might be an illusion. 28 agencies participated in the simulation exercise. In Abuja, Ismail Musa, NTA News.
The federal government has unveiled a 7-megawatt solar power plant worth over 12 billion naira at the Aminu Kano Teaching Hospital, just days after the teaching hospital was reconnected to the national grid following an earlier disconnection. Awali Salisu reports that the project is designed to guarantee stable electricity supply for the hospital in line with President Bola Tinubu's renewed hope agenda for the health sector.
The 12 billion naira solar power project is designed to take Aminu Kano Teaching Hospital completely off the national grid, tackling the long-standing challenge of power outage that have hampered medical services for years. The initiative forms part of a wider government strategy to upgrade healthcare infrastructure while promoting renewable energy use in key public institutions.
We will deliver a project that will completely take AKTH off the national grid, ensuring an uninterrupted power supply for its over 700 beds, thousands of staff, and critical life-saving equipment.
We will be 100% off-grid, no more issue of fuel, no issue of units. You know, our ICU can function 100%, oncology department 100%, radiology 100%, theaters, maternity, all the department will work 100%.
The solar power project is expected to be completed before the end of the year, signaling major progress in the government's efforts to improve healthcare delivery through sustainable energy and modern infrastructure. Minister of Science, Technology and Innovation, Uche Geoffrey Naji, together with the chairman of the House Committee on Appropriation, Abubakar Kabir Abubakar, also inspected the ongoing construction of the Surgical Emergency and Trauma Center within the hospital's new accident and emergency complex. In Kano, Awal Salisu, NTA News.
An ecological problem is one of the environmental challenges confronting many areas in Delta State. This time, erosion had hit and crippled Umugbe, Umote, and Ajaji quarters in the Ila community, Oshimile, North Delta State, unleashing a devastating blow to the economic and social structure of the people. Let's take a listen to Chinyere Okoli's report.
The erosion has had a devastating impact on the communities of Umumbe, Umuntei, and Ajaji in Ela, Oshimile North of Delta State, causing widespread damage to homes, farmlands, and infrastructure. Farmers like Chukuma, Ofili, and Ngozi Obinipo have been hit by the menace, with their farmlands damaged by erosion, forcing premature harvesting and resulting in significant losses, pain, and distress.
My farm has been carried away by the flood, and I cannot more feed my children
because of the devastation.
Very, very, very much in this place. If it is left here, in a few years to come, there will be no person living here.
Some community leaders are seeking government intervention, fearing that greater danger looms if nothing urgent is done.
I don't support anybody to come over here and farm because of the danger we are envisaging here. So we have told most of the people farming here to give away from here.
It's so bad that if it continues like this, we don't know how it will be in the next 6 years.
The situation is precarious and immediate action is crucial to prevent further devastation and support the affected communities. Unless urgent measures are initiated, the situation could assume a dangerous dimension in the days ahead. In Ela, I'm Chinyere Okoli, NTA News.
Let's now join Francisca for Sports Update. Hello, Francisca.
Hello, Jumai. Welcome to Sports Update. Let's begin from the World Athletics Championships in Tokyo, where Nigeria's Udodi Onwuzurike flew the national flag as the country's sole representative in the men's 200 meters. Despite a solid effort, Onwuzurike finished 7th in his semi-final heat, clocking a time of 20.26 seconds. The event saw a dazzling performance from Noah Lyles, the reigning world champion, who powered to a world-leading time of 19.51 seconds. Zaniel Hills of Great Britain came in second at 19.95 seconds, while Sine Saifo Dambiel of South Africa recorded a personal best of 19.98 seconds to claim third place. Meanwhile, Ezekiel Nathaniel will return to the track on Friday in the men's 400 meters hurdles in search of a medal, hoping to add to Nigeria's tally after Toby Amusan's silver medal earlier in the competition. Nathaniel will compete in lane 6. In football, Nigeria's under-20 national team, the Flying Eagles, continue training on Thursday in their build-up ahead of their 2 high-profile friendly games against Chile under-20 team on Saturday, 20th September, and the Australia under-20 team on Tuesday, 23rd September. The team is using this time to fine-tune their strategies and build match fitness before the global showdown. Both matches are expected to provide valuable experience and insight for the coaching staff as the team aims to make a deep run in the tournament. In the early kickoff of the UEFA Champions League on Wednesday, Club Brugge thrashed Monaco 4-1, while FC Copenhagen shared the spoils by Bayern Leverkusen. In other matches being concluded now, Frankfurt came from a goal down to lead Galatasaray 5-1. Sporting Lisbon are 4-1 up against Kairat. In England, Manchester City lead 10-man Napoli 2-0, while Newcastle are trailing 2-1 at home to Barcelona. But that's the price of our package. It's back to Juma.
Thank you so much, Francisca. So much happening in the world of sports. President Bola Tinubu has commiserated with the families of the victims of Tuesday fire outbreak at Afriland Building on Broad Street, Lagos Island. The president also condoled with the Federal Inland Revenue Service and the United Bank of Africa PLC over the death. The special advisor to the president on media and strategy, Bayo Onanuga, in a statement says the president extends his condolences to those who lost loved ones in the inferno and those receiving medical attention. He commends emergency responders for their quick intervention and advises more caution to avert such emergencies in the future, praying God to comfort the bereaved. In the same vein, Nigeria's First Lady Oluremi Tinubu has also condoled with the Governor of Lagos State, Babajide Sanwo-Olu, the people of the state, and corporate organizations affected by the tragic fire outbreak which claimed 10 lives. The First Lady, in her message, extends special commiserations to the FIRS and UBA over the incident, praying God to comfort their loved ones. And our survey result is in. We asked you what areas should be top priority for Governor Fubara-led administration in Rivers State for the next 12 months. 39.6% picked economic development and job creation, while 38.7% picked political reconciliation and inclusive governance. Another 11.7% picked security and law enforcement, and 9.9% ticked infrastructure and public services. A quick check on the weather prospect is next.
Come to the weather forecast. A significant amount of rainfall is expected across the southern parts of the country by Friday, with heavier downpours likely over the southeast and south-south regions. These showers may be accompanied by thunder and lightning. Meanwhile, thunderstorms with moderate rain are forecast for the north-central cities, including parts of Adamawa, Taraba, Borno, Yobe, Bauchi, Gombe, parts of Jigawa, Kano, and Kaduna. And that's it for the weather update. Stay safe and stay informed. I'm Sefia Asayinusa. Thank you for watching.
Thanks, Sophia. And that's Network News for tonight. Thanks so much for your time. On behalf of the crew, I am Jumai Yusuf.